surely at some point in this, or maybe this is just me thinking how I would react. Was there ever a time if you questioned that, am I actually able to do this? Because a lot of times I'll talk with women about confidence to be able to try something they've never done before. And here you are, you're like, no problem. I'm going to get in this boat. I'm going to row across the Atlantic Ocean. At some point, uh, where did your confidence come from?
It's a really good question. I think partly it came from having had my hip replacement, and quite a funny story. When I limped along for 3 years, not really knowing what the problem was, going to endless physiotherapy appointments, and eventually saw a surgeon who scanned my hip, and he said it's 100% screwed. He said it can't get any worse. Um, he said you shouldn't be able to walk, let alone run, and I was able to sort of run for an hour. And in my head, I interpreted that as, I'm nails. I actually thought I'm tough as old boots here. I can do things that most people can't. And I sort of adopted that I'm nails as my mantra. And I suppose it became my superpower. And I thought, well, if I can do things that 99% of people can't do, then of course I can row an ocean. And so I really used that kind of that lesson from the hip replacement to power me through the row. It's a reason to say yes to go and do the row. I used it through the cancer treatment, and then subsequently taking on different challenges. So I marked the 3-year anniversary of my cancer diagnosis earlier this year by running the highest marathon in the world from Everest Base Camp. I'd never done anything at altitude before. I'd only done one marathon before, but I thought, why not? I've rode an ocean. I've got through cancer. I've had a hip replacement.
I
I
can
know
run
I'm
across
tough.
Everest. It's not a
This is
problem.
something
Yeah.
new. Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
And again, it's a reason that I'm now training to row across the Pacific next year, because I think I'm nails. I can do this. So
I love that.
I think everyone has a superpower. Not everyone will believe that they're nails, but everyone has something about themselves, something innate, something that's unique and personal to them, that if they can recognize it and harness it, they can use it to their advantage to get through whatever life throws at them. And I think it's so important to try and take the time to understand what makes you unique and what your kind of inner strength is, because we all have something. We've all got a greatness about ourselves. It's just about recognizing it and then using it to our advantage.
And sometimes I think, especially as women, we're taught not to recognize our strengths, right? Just be humble, be sweet, be kind, be all those things. And my response to that is always, yes, please be humble, be kind, be generous, be all those things. But you can also be nails at the same time. You can be kind and tough. You can,
Yeah.
those things aren't necessarily, they don't have to stay separate. So
No.
finding.
Yeah, no. And one of the reasons we as a crew of mums decided to row the Atlantic was to set a positive example for our children, to encourage them to dream big, to show them that the world is their oyster. There are so many opportunities out there just waiting to be explored. And, whether they're boys or girls or regardless of age, they can go and do anything they choose to do if they're prepared to work hard for it and have the kind of right attitude. And it's so lovely now hearing my children talk about me to their friends. Just the other day, they were chitter chattering to their mates and my daughter, who's now 8, said, "My mummy's rowed the Atlantic, and she did say I've climbed Everest. I haven't, but she said, and she's been to Everest, and now she's rowing the Pacific." And it's just this sense of pride they have in the things that I've done, that I think they think reflects well on them as well. And I just think that's brilliant. That's why we did it, to get them thinking, dreaming big, and knowing that they can go and do these things as well if they choose to do that.